Record here. So we've been on this road of identity in the last 6 months, and so many little pieces that go into that, right? It's not just about identity, but it's about we talked about autopilot. We talked about being transformed by the renewing of our minds. We've talked about that migration from mind to heart, right? In order to have this transformation, tons of things we could go back and review, and we probably need to. But there's another piece to this that was really hitting me over this last week, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my best to try and teach on this tonight a little bit. I don't know if I have all of the language for it, so forgive me if I don't. So I'm doing my best to explain what's going on in my mind with this, but I know it's a huge piece for our continued transformation. Remember, we're tying this in as well. It's your responsibility to read between the lines, right? Some of these things, yes, they have to do with our fitness. Some of these things, no, they don't have to do with our fitness. You know what I mean? So it's all aspects of our life. So continue to apply the meaning for you specifically in your own life, right? Because that's what we're about. We're not just about building our biceps and getting six packs. We actually want to have a true transformation in all aspects of our life. So I'll share a page here, see if I can sneak this on. All right, you guys. So this piece that I want to continue to speak on is about integration. If you want to go ahead and throw your mics on mute, and then if you need to come off to input something, just pull off mute and interrupt. That's totally fine. Or you can jump in the chat as well. I always love it when you guys interact in the chat as well. Um, okay, so we'll get rocking on this integration where beliefs becomes mindset. And so I was really thinking about this. What triggered this thought was I was having some conversations with some guys who had gained weight back after losing a bunch of weight. And we were really talking about why that is. And so that's where this thought triggered. But then I was like, oh my gosh, this really goes into everything we've been talking about with our identity and growing and being transformed. And so why do we actually struggle with integration? Well, one is we'd actually maybe not even know what integration is. And so that's okay. But it's that piece where we don't know how to transfer our thoughts or our beliefs, our patterns, our higher beliefs into our body, into our living selves to have a lived experience in life. You know, when you have that like aha moment, you're like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. Like I've heard this over and over again, but all of a sudden, like you lived something out and it connected in your spirit. Like you don't even necessarily have words for it, but you know something now. That's what integration is. We understand a thing mentally oftentimes, but we don't become it. I put become it, the better word there is be it. We're not being those things that we understand or that we know. We stay stuck in loops because nothing ever makes it from our mind to our heart. That's that migration that we've been talking about. And you know it in your head, but the nervous system still thinks that it's the old you. You're living the old you and not the real you, right? So your nervous system is recording everything, you guys, from the moment you were born till now, even the things that you don't remember, right? And so this is some subconscious pieces as well. Okay, your nervous system is your internal recording button. It stores every hurt, every failure, also the good things, the great memories. But oftentimes our mind always goes to where we fail. And so we actually, that's part of that transformation is changing our outlook on things. And then our autopilot central nervous system plays those recordings back when we have, think about this, like when we have these triggers or something triggers our fight or flight and it feels so real, or you wake up from a dream and you're like in that panic because it felt so real. That's the same style of thing. Is it you can't tell what's necessarily a reality or what isn't, because the autopilot of this, every time something triggers you, happens. It doesn't mean the trigger's not real, but we have to start recognize those things. Your body remembers everything, what your mind tries to forget. That's why also we see so much sickness in areas. That's a whole nother teaching. But this is like the trauma loops, why you start and stop over and over. Like we've all even struggled at times with like, I started like my fitness journey and then I stopped it and I started it and I stopped it. That's an example, right? But we have these traumatic events that get imprinted over time. Maybe something happened to you when you were a child that like you want to forget about, but then something triggers it and it brings it back up again. And so this can be a ton of different things depending on you. And so this can be the fear of failing again. If you've started your fitness journey and then you've failed it 20 times, the chances are like you don't even want to start again because like every time I've started it, I've failed. Or the fear of succeeding because you actually don't, so many people don't actually get to their full potential because they don't feel worthy of the success that they're capable of. And they're perfectly capable of the success, but something in them, in their inner child that happened at a young age where they didn't feel worthy of it, or the way they were raised, or their parents had an outlook on money, or whatever that is. We adopt those things and record those things as we live. And so much of it is in our subconscious. And so fear is also in that nervous system saying, protect the old identity. I talked about this in my last podcast a little bit, right? Of like, we have to grow our capacity a little bit to let the new in. And so we can continue to grow. Our nervous system is loyal. It's awesome, but it's also loyal to our old self and not always the person that we're trying to be. And so this is the psychology of the inner standing versus the understanding. So we understand a lot of things, but we don't always understand them, right? We don't let stuff penetrate us deeply in the heart. So you understand things from a psychological level, but they never migrate to the heart. This is all review really quick. Without understanding, thoughts stay intellectual but not embodied. I really want us to think about this word embodied today. Okay. We think a million thoughts, but oftentimes the ones that are really important, right? We skip over, we don't let them sink in deeply. Identity doesn't shift unless our belief moves from the mind to the heart. And then that takes action. Another word for action right here, better word, maybe would just be being. Our mind, heart, and then we be that. This is the spirit to mind migration. I'm always teaching. Your beliefs have to survive that migration. So integration takes time, right? We've been on this for over 6 months. This is literally why I don't do short-term coaching, because it takes the rewiring takes time. And it doesn't mean the rewiring didn't happen. It has taken place, but you still have to become aware of what has happened to you. We still have to be able to grow in our consciousness of what has happened to us. So you can do everything right and still not be the new you. And I'm not saying you're not the new you. I'm saying being, as in like, again, embodying would be a better word right here. Embodying and being, we can interchange. So the workouts, the macros, listening to podcasts, listening to me, all of it means absolutely nothing if we don't allow things to start integrating into us. Integration is being what you know. It's that true self that like you can feel that pull. Like stop and just pause and like when you're having a moment by yourself and you're driving in your truck to your tree stand, or you're going to the gym and you just like feel this thing and you're like, man, I've thought about that for 2 years. Like, or this business idea or whatever, like these really important thoughts that you've all had in these quiet moments. And you're like, man, I still haven't like done that, or I still haven't like, why am I not? It's those type of things where we have to start pausing with and actually integrating into ourselves. You don't change by doing more. You change by integrating deeper. Like I've always said, it's like not about doing more all the time, you guys. It's about taking what we know and being those things. I have to even, I thought about this today. I was like on the treadmill and I'm like, man, if I was to run into my Instagram profile right now, would I buy from me? Like, am I embodying what I'm being to you guys, or I'm being to myself? Like, am I actually doing these day-to-day things that I expect people to do? Do I track my KPIs in my business the same way I expect you guys to track your macros? It's those little day in, day out things for me where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm doing the same things I expect my clients to. Like, what kind of coach would I be? And I have to hold myself accountable to that same standard that I'm holding you guys accountable to. And so like that leads into that question that stemmed this. Like, why do people regress? Why do we gain the weight back? Why do we feel that way? It's not that you failed, but the proper integration just didn't happen. So that next step for a lot of us is to just pause and integrate these things. And so if you don't be that person you need to be internally, you're just, that's why we feel in the same loop. That's why the same things happen. And so the default system, right, is these loops. And so oftentimes we hit these loops, right? And sometimes it can be like an anniversary. They can be a holiday. Maybe something happened with your family or Thanksgiving years ago, and all of a sudden Thanksgiving hits, and like, why does every Thanksgiving I feel this way? And I'm like you feel it in your spirit, right? And you like get down about it. Oftentimes it's just this loop that's reoccurring. And some of this is ego because we can recognize it a little bit, but then it's like you fall into the fear, the scarcity, the people pleasing, the feeling unseen, the what ifs. What if I fail again? What if I don't lose the weight? What if they don't like me? What if this turns out to be like when I got rejected in junior high by the popular group? Like those are those things we can start to recognize and be like, oh yeah, okay. I have to grow with my goals or it will always pull me backwards if I don't pull off the autopilot. Okay. So the action step number one, this is what we got to do. This is the start of integration because how this is just a word again, right? You know how big I am on the language piece. This is just another word if we don't actually know what to do with it. And so this is going to be the biggest thing. And we've been talking about self-awareness. We have to become aware and the power of our awareness. We've been talking the last couple calls about like pausing, taking some breaths. Like that's what we have to do. When we get triggered, we notice the pattern, something reoccurring, and then we give insight to ourself when that happens. Why am I doing this again? And then that awareness breaks that unconscious behavior. So ask yourself, like, why is this happening again? Why am I doing this again? And then because you can't integrate what you aren't aware of. And so you won't be aware of it unless we pause. So slow down a little bit. That is the biggest piece. Awareness and slowing down. We all run 1,000 miles per hour trying to do more. Pause for a moment. This is the moment you stop negotiating with the doubt. Step number two, this is the echo. Okay, this is gonna happen. Old patterns are gonna resurface. Good. Remember what we've been talking about. Life is happening for me, not to me. So old patterns will resurface. Wonderful. What a wonderful opportunity for us to then feel the trigger, recognize the anniversary, whatever that is, and then recognize that echo that's happening again. The echo is not the setback. It's the invitation to go deeper now. Okay, cool. I got some more healing that needs to take place on this. Okay, cool. I need to give myself some grace on this, whatever that is. For me, this is like, I told you, I was honest about this with you like back in June, right? I was like this huge goal of how many people I want to get signed up by the end of the year. And every time I make these huge goals, what happens? It's followed up by like the worst sales month I've ever had. every time, guys, it is like clockwork. Yeah, me and my wife made a big goal again last month, and it was like, oh my gosh, this was the worst month of the year. And though that pops up in my head, and I'm like, maybe I need to stop making goals. I just do better. Well, that's a lie, Jordan. Like, you know that, man. Like, you do not improve unless there is improvement to be had. What is not measured is not improved upon. What is not tracked is not improved upon. So it's like, okay, what's causing this? I have to pause and stop. Like, what's causing this? I have to address those things, right? Action step number 3. This is the last one. This is the repatterning. Okay. So when we repattern after we recognize the echo, then we have the opportunity to speak to ourselves in a new way or act in a new way. Recognize the pattern, recognize the echo, respond with the truth. Okay. Are you worthy of something? Yes, you are. You all deserve to be here. You all do, all the same things, right? Those type of thoughts, but or you're fearful. Actually, you know what? I'm pretty safe. I am not in an unsafe position right now. I'm very safe. And so those are the things, like repeat it until it becomes the new default, because we have the old default, the old loops, the old CNS repeating system. But when we start to break that, we step out of the loop, the repeating loop, we step out of it. This is embodiment. Think about the word embodiment. Body, mint. Mint is mind. Body, mind. Wow.
Yes.
We integrate, right? And they start working together versus working separate. This is where trauma stops dictating the future. And most of the things we struggle with stem from some type of trauma that we're maybe not even conscious of. But when I say trauma, I'm not always meaning like maybe it's something terrible. It could be something minor, but it had an effect on how you thought growing up. Okay. So it doesn't have to be like some nasty trauma. It can just be like, oh yeah, just the thinking is not the way I think today. You begin living in truth. Okay. So pause. This is the power of the pause we've been talking about. The breath is the bridge. Think about this. You already all do it. What do you do when you're like stressed out? Big exhale. You're literally like releasing frustration. You already do it naturally. Every single one of you. We've all like under pissed off, under stress moments, you breathe out deeply or you breathe really fast. And so it's the same. You're already doing it naturally. So why, if you're already doing it naturally to help yourself, your body already knows what's best for you. Now you can actually take it like we've been talking about. And like, I need to take a breath right now. I need to pause and just and release it. Cool. Then you can go into the right, repeat it until it becomes the new default. So breathe, go back, tell yourself the truth, break the pattern. The breath is what shifts you from survival mode, the fight or flight, into a present moment. Presence is where the new identity can actually take root, you can feel it. Okay, so we got to integrate. Integration's the identity. This is the embodiment. This is where the nervous system aligns with the spirit. This is where your life starts like truly matching your potential, right? Because every one of you is like, okay, I have these goals. I set these goals with Jordan at the beginning of the year. We're going to be resetting goals this month for the coming year and breaking them down into the coming months, all of those things. And you're like, man, okay. But remember, when we started talking about this 6 months ago, I want you to pause on this. And a lot of you were in here 6 months ago. Think about everything, pause for a moment and think about everything that's happened in your life in the last 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, the last week. Think about how much more like inner standing you have than what you had a week ago. Like there's something that you're like, dude, I didn't get that a week ago. And now I feel it. Like I went through the holiday again. And now I just like feel differently about something. Like I just get it more. Like that's because it takes time. And when we're pulling off the autopilot where we're just like coasting throughout the same day every day, and we start thinking and feeling, growth happens. We can talk to ourselves a little bit better. We can be positive versus negative. And then that's when the shift happens. We can detach from always putting a time frame on everything. We can still set the goal, but then instead of like stressing about the goal, we can just do in the very present moment right now what needs to happen in order for the goal to take place. Integration. I don't know if my language was there or not. We're gonna find out. But I think it is because the message that I'm getting messages that I'm getting from you guys every week from somebody, getting a new one, somebody, and I'm like, oh yes, okay. Sometimes I don't know if stuff if I what I say makes sense, but I'm like I've gotten a message from most of you in here where it's just like, man, okay, this is working. This is happening. This is more than just bicep curls. Like, and that's encouraging because man, we don't want it to be just bicep curls, even though I really love bicep curls. All right, my guys, any questions? I better review the chat here. There's a few in here. Any questions that I can help out with on this? Anybody? Now's the time. Open forum. 21 minutes is not bad, you guys. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, I recorded this. I'm going to get it posted up on the YouTube channel tonight. I'll post it in the group page so you can rewatch anything that Jordan didn't make sense on, because I'm sure it was some. And we'll go from there. As always, as this is connecting over the week, as you have some thoughts during the week, please DM me in the app so we can continue the conversation. Or if you have something that you want to share on the group page, please do that so we can continue on the conversation. Keep sharing the bicep curl wins too. We won all of it. You guys, there's no questions. I'll let you guys go. I appreciate you being my clients. Appreciate you being friends and being on a Wednesday night.
Hurry up.
All right, you guys. I'll see you later. I'm gonna hit off record, Renee, so you can say hi to Amazon. That's my niece.